Time to talk a little more Browns now. We're bringing Reggie Rucker. Reggie, at what point does it take a quarterback to say, this is my team, in the case of Jake Delhomme? Yesterday he had a chance at the stadium in front of 22,000, but how long does that normally take? Because it can't be easy to walk into and look up and you go, oh, there's 10 new guys in front of me.
Yeah, well, that's a good question, and based upon the money, it takes about 5 minutes. One guy makes $7 million, the other guy makes $700,000. So, no, I think, but seriously though, money has a way of dictating who you are and where you are in terms of the pecking order. And of course, in this case, that's true. And also, in fact, it's true that you're talking about a guy who has been to a Super Bowl and has had a very outstanding career and has won football games and has been considered a very good leader.
Yeah, I want to keep talking about quarterbacks. Not that I'm skipping over Seneca Wallace, but I want to talk a little bit about Colt McCoy. If you are Eric Mangini or Mike Holmgren, are you going to play him this season? What are you going to do with Colt McCoy?
For me, there's no chance that Colt McCoy would get on the field this year. I think he needs to hold the clipboard and watch a professional in action, watch how Delhomme carries himself, watch how Seneca Wallace carries himself and his role, interacts with players, gets to know this game at this level, know what everyone else is doing, stick your head in the film room, stay as close to the quarterback coach as you can. Just be a guy that soaks up the knowledge of the National Football League and forget about playing, because I doubt if you'll see Colt McCoy on the field. And I'm not sure he would get on the field even in a mop-up situation, if in fact we have any of those.
Is that the biggest mistake? And you can't hold that against Holmgren or Hecker or Mangini, but since this franchise has been back, don't you think that's been one of the biggest mistakes, that you've had young quarterbacks that have had tons of potential but never really gave them a guy to learn from?
Yeah, you had to toss them out there and you threw them to the Lions and they got eaten up. And in this case, if you're working from a different premise, because the offensive line is becoming a very good one. And depending upon what happens on the right side there, it could be one of the best. It could be a very strong point of this football team. And if that's the case, then I expect big things, because I think the record this year, Andy, is predicated on how well Jake Delhomme recovers from that depression that he went into. Very unusual to see that in a career such as his, where he's been going, then bam, something happens and he falls. And then they lose, the Panthers lose confidence in him, and then he's out there. Well, Mike Holmgren saw enough in him that he wanted to bank on this guy resurrecting his career, and if he resurrects his career, he resurrects the Cleveland Browns.
I want to talk about something that I think you probably know an awful lot about. Mohamed Massaquoi and Brian Robisky. I've liked Robisky at camp so far, too. I haven't seen that much of Massaquoi, but that's only because I've been out there for a couple of days. How hard is it, or what is the transition is probably a better question, from that rookie season to your sophomore season and just being comfortable? Because that's, I think, how Brian looks right now.
Yeah. Now, for me, as a rookie, I was opposite the Hall of Famer and one of the great receivers in the game at that time, Bob Hayes. And in my second year, I had Hayes over there, so I was able to go undetected and fly under the radar screen and make some plays. Both Mohamed Massaquoi and Brian Robisky have each other, and they're both young. They're both second-year players, and there's no one to lean on for that experience, that veteran savvy, the ability to teach them how to read coverages, sight adjustments, and all of those kinds of things that you learn out there. This is, you know, and you've got to be two smart cookies. And these guys, I think, are very bright young men. But the fact remains that they do not have an anchor, a playmaker, and a #1 receiver on the other side. This franchise is trying to allow these players to grow together with the team. Now, there's a pro and con to that. The good thing about that is if they all grow together, you've got these two guys for a long, long time. Obviously, the downside to that is that if they're still learning, then that lack of a passing attack and that threat is going to hold this club back.
And isn't that the telltale sign of a great team, to make sure you've got 2 or 3 guys, whether it's Dave Logan or Ricky Feature or Ozzie Newsome, or even you can go back to Jaravicius and Winslow. There's always a couple guys that might be, if you've got 3 good receivers, you may have a 10-win team. Yeah, you do. I think that it's very important to have players who can step right in and play. And in the Cardiac Kids era, that's what we had. We had
receivers everywhere. And when Bernie Kosar came here, he had receivers everywhere. And since those two generations ago and those eras, I mean, we're still looking for players that can play and make big plays that these fans have been accustomed to for a long time.
All right, last question for you. How important is it for this team this week to start focusing on another team? Finally, you don't have to hit your own teammate, and you hit the dog days of camp right here. It's finally time. Okay, we had our scrimmage, we played against each other. Now we get to look at another team next week.
Well, very exciting to be able to go into a battle against someone else, because by now your teammates know everything you can do. They know all your moves. You know all the defenses they have in, and so you stalemate out there. Now you get the opportunity to run those plays on someone else who does not know what's coming at them, and that, Andy, builds your confidence, because they're going to have some success. They're going to feel their way out there, and then, you know, it's a lot easier to take out a grudge on someone that you don't know as opposed to taking it out on perhaps your roommate.